Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us on another sleepless night. We've got an interesting topic tonight. I've got an introduction to our SOC and incident response room, and I think everyone's going to enjoy it. I apologize for missing the last couple of weeks. Uh, I've had a couple of speaking engagements in Oklahoma City and a few other things that just kind of interfered with my ability to get on in the evenings. So I hope I make up for it for tonight and cover our SOC. This is something that I've been working on for the last year or so, my team and I, and we put a lot of thought into this. So I hope everyone enjoys it. So about 3 years ago, we started talking about a, student-led SOC, and that it has taken a couple of different forms over the years. And of course, with COVID, it was really hard to get implemented and to get all the pieces together. But when we came back off of COVID, we started putting all the plans in place. And right now, I'm running with five SOC analysts, and they're doing a great job. I'm hoping to hire five more this fall, so I'm going to have up to 10 for this fall. And it's kind of your typical run-of-the-mill SOC. And we've got the real benefit is we've got students coming in and working the SOC for us, and they're getting some hands-on experience, and they're able to do a lot of very cool things with enterprise class tools, and that's given them some experience that they can go out and use out in the real world or outside the university world. So not only are they providing us a lot of benefit, they're catching a lot of stuff and helping us find problems and fix those, but they're just a lot of fun to work with. But tonight we're talking specifically about the SOC room. Now, the SOC room was an office. It was actually the CIO's office for several years, and it's right behind my office and down the suite where we are for IT security. And we were able to get it allocated just for the SOC, and we put a lot of time and effort into it, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We've got some technology we're going to talk about, but really, more importantly, is the use of the room that we wanted to discuss. And I got a lot of pictures. We're going to talk through the design and the process that we went through and what we did to get this room ready to go. I'll tell you, one of the most beneficial things was that we were able to get the room and use the room through a couple of incidents in last fall that helped me really sit down and plan out the things that we needed in the room and what we were going to do with the room. And that helped more than anything because I was able to use the room in a real life incident or several real life incidents, and it told us exactly what we needed, what we needed to use it for. And then we were able to add to it the use of the Security Operations Center. So the room itself is just a large office. It's about, I would say, about maybe 15 by 15, 15 by 16, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact specs. I should have gotten those. I just don't remember what it is corner to corner, in each wall. But it's a good sized room. It's a very large office. The previous setup for the office was it had a desk, a couple of courtesy chairs, a large conference table, and a TV and a dry erase board and such. So it's a good sized office. Much bigger than a regular office here on campus. So you can see that 237C is actually my office currently, and so you can kind of see the size. It's a pretty big office. Really, the very first thing we needed in the room was a table. And so what I've got in front of us is I pulled out some of the plans, and I'm going to show you to give you kind of a visual representation of where each piece is in the room. So you're going to see these white screens pop up and with arrows to show you everything. But we needed a conference table. And I literally found a conference table top being thrown away. It was in the hallway. It was being thrown away. No one had claimed it had been there for about a year and a half in the hallway. Of course, it was during COVID, so no one was around. And I commandeered the tabletop and moved it upstairs. It is really heavy. I would imagine it's 150, 200 pounds. I mean, it's a dense tabletop. I didn't want it to be thrown away because it's heavy. It's big. It's a good workspace. So I grabbed the tabletop. I actually had someone move it upstairs. I tried to get it because it was downstairs and the elevator wasn't working. So we got some physical plant guys to come over with their furniture movers, and we got it upstairs. And then I went to Amazon. I purchased just some heavy duty conference room tables, stands. I actually called Physical Plant to see if they could make me something out of black pipe welded together, and they didn't have a welder to do it. They had retired at the in the middle of COVID, so they didn't have anybody. So I just ordered some stuff off Amazon. It's a good sturdy table. The stand or the legs on it are really heavy duty for that tabletop it needed to be. So we can easily get 6 chairs around it. I've got it in the room in such a way that we can use the conference room camera. We can use it as just a conference room table where we can all get around it. We use it for training. The table is big enough we can pull apart several different computers, which we do regularly, and get on the inside of them and take a look at them. When we're doing Raspberry Pi projects, we can easily spread everything out so that we can kind of do it in an assembly line fashion when we're setting up new sensors and such. So it's a great table. I really like it. I encourage you, if you have a room that you're going to be using for this sort of stuff, it is imperative that you get a good table to use, something that's comfortable to use, something that's big and sturdy, and something that you're just not going to worry about. It's a good table. Use it. So I really like that table. Now in this room, what we're looking at is now this would be the east wall. So it'd be, the arrow is pointing to the east wall. And of course, this is where the main 3 TVs are up. And these 3 TVs are Samsung 70-inch 4K TVs. We went with these TVs for a couple of different reasons. They were light, they were 4K, they were fairly economical, and we were able to get them. And at that time, it was really hard to get some TVs and monitors and stuff. Now, the stuff on the monitors that are on the tables there or on the desk for the SOC analysts, those are 43-inch Dell monitors. And I chose those for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I wanted the screen real estate. I wanted a large screen for them to use. Number two, they've got built-in docks. So it was actually cheaper to get this 43-inch monitor, or 3 43-inch monitors, instead of getting 2 large monitors with a docking station to plug into the laptop. These are all set up for laptop stations, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later for incident response. But with these, they've got USB-C out, they plug into the monitor, they've got charging pass-through, and they've got the docking station built in. So we can plug the keyboard and the mouse dongle into the monitor. It connects through USB-C to the laptop. Any laptop you sit there and you plug in through USB-C, it works great. I really like these monitors. They're large. There's a lot of screen space. You can divide it up a couple of different ways. You can make them big so people can see them from across the room. So it's a really good setup. And I actually saved money. We did the costing at the time, and it was actually cheaper to get these screens, as expensive as they were, than it was to get 2 screens and a docking station. And this is the monitor. It's a Dell UltraSharp 43-inch 4K USB-C monitor. I don't remember if we paid that much. This is a current number that we get off the website right now. I don't think we paid that much, but it wasn't very far off. I think it was probably closer to maybe $9.20, $9.30. I don't remember, but it was. They're still pricey. But this again, Compared to this, between two good sized monitors and a docking station, this was actually cheaper. These are the TVs. These are Samsung 70-inch. We actually have 4 TVs in the room. We've got the 3 large 70-inch TVs that are up on the east wall, and then we have one 60-inch TV on the north wall. But here's what they are. They are just basic Samsung 70-inch QLED 4K smart TVs. We went with this TV. Number one, they were pretty good priced. Number two, they were light. For the sizes they were light. So we've got them on stands that extend out from the wall a good 2 foot, 3 foot, something like that. That was one of my requirements, is I wanted the TV to be able to pull away from the wall so we can get behind it and plug stuff in and do various things. So we were looking for something light, something that was cheap, something that looked really good, and gave us the functionality that we needed. We needed HDMI in. We also needed to be able to connect to the internet and do some basic browser stuff. So these work really great. It didn't actually take so long to get these. They were in stock. I think we got them from B&H Video, if I remember correctly. But we got 3 of the 70-inch TVs, plus the stands and stuff to mount them on the wall. And then we got a 60-inch for the north wall. And you can see here, this is the 160-inch TV on that north wall as you just immediately come in the door, and then the 70-inch are over on the right on that east wall. And this is that 60-inch. You can see underneath it, we've got it mounted with the conference camera underneath it. And the way we figured out the height, we put the camera right at eye level height if you're sitting in the chair at the conference table, and then we mounted the TV just above that. And we've got an insert there on the wall. We wanted to set the camera back into the wall just to get it out of the way. People don't hit it and knock out it. That's the PTZ camera, so it does move. We wanted to give it enough space to move and be able to collect everything. Now this camera is interesting because it can view almost the entire room pointing straight ahead. It's got a wide field of vision, and by turning it, panning it around, you can get every part of the room pretty effectively. So I really like this setup, and I was thankful that one of my staff was able to find this inset wall. We had to adapt it a little bit to make it work with this camera. We had to drill a hole in the back to run the cables and stuff because it wasn't designed specifically for this camera, but it works well. All right, so let's continue going on this north wall. So a little bit further down on this north wall here, we've got the dry erase board. Now this dry erase board was already in the room. It was on the east wall, but we decided to take it and turn it upright, so it's going top to bottom on the wall. It fits well. We didn't really want to do it, where it was wide across the wall because we just didn't have the space set up to do that. But I'll tell you, I really like this dry erase board up and down like this. I don't like glass dry erase boards as a general rule. I think sometimes they're hard to write on and see. They're kind of messy. They don't always look as professional as a regular dry erase board. They do look nice when they're clean. They do look nice. I like the clearish glass where it really ties into the room. But since it was already there, we used it. It works great. What we decided to do, being tall like this, we generally write in the middle, of course, because that's easy. So as we otherwise have things we want to keep on there for a long period of time, we'll just write them higher. When we run out of space, we write lower. So it works well. Again, I don't particularly care for glass, but it was already in the room. We wanted to save as much money as we could, so we went ahead and used it. And I think it turned out well. It fit right there in that spot. We were actually pretty lucky because we decided to put it there in that spot after we bought the desks, and the desks themselves, because they're sit stand desks, so they got there, and we're not going to move them around a whole lot, but they fit perfectly. So I was really pleased about that. Okay, on that wall, of course, we've got the big 3 TVs. We're kind of panning around the room, as we're talking about this. We've got LEDs. We mounted LEDs on the back of the TVs. And it not only because it's fun. I mean, come on now, everyone likes LEDs, but we did it for a very specific reason. We've got it set for blue here. This is kind of what we do. Blue and gold is TU colors, so we like running blue, and I really like the way it looks on blue. But we put 3 different sets of LEDs on the back of the TV so that we can do different colors behind the TV. And this is for a very specific reason. During an incident, I don't want people to think about which screen I want them to put information on. I want to be able to say, send it to the blue screen, send it to the green, send it to the red screen. And they don't have to think if I say left screen or right screen, which side, who's looking at it. If I say 1, 2, 3, is it 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3? I just wanted something very visually catching to where we can set it to a variety of colors and we can say, all right, send your signal to the red screen or send it to the green screen. Now, the thing we've got set up on this, these are not just digital displays. We've got them set up with an AV over IP system. I'll get into that in just a minute, but these are set up with an AV over IP system so that we can send data to these screens from anywhere, in the room or elsewhere. And because of that, I wanted to be able to, anybody sitting at these desks could send the data up, and you can see where each computer there, it's mirroring the big 43-inch screen up to the 70-inch screen. Like I said, we'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, one whole side of the room is glass. It's glass windows. It's on the side of the building, so we can't really use that much. But on the west wall, we actually have a 75-inch Dell monitor touchscreen. Let's see, do I have... It's an interactive touch monitor. So there it is. And it's really great. It was there when we moved into the room. So we kind of adopted it as part of our functionality. And it's really nice. I'll give credit to Dell and this monitor. It is expensive. It is heavy. But it does the job. Now, not only is it just a standard monitor, it is touchscreen. So you can do a couple of different things. This is kind of our standard use for it. We've got a dry erase board program that what I really like about it is I can bring in a picture. Let's say we use a map of a room. I can throw it up there. We can draw on it. I can put notes on the side. But during incidents, if I've got 3 or 4 things happening all at once, I can scroll through the screens as I'm talking to a particular team. So let's say I'm talking to a systems team. I've got all their list of stuff that I need them to do for that incident. And I've got a networking team and a client services team. Each one has their own, quote, dry erase or digital erase board there. And I can flip back and forth between them. If I've got something that we're checking on, if I'm incident commander and we're doing a variety of things, I can keep everything organized and I can export it out. So as we update the notes, I can take all this information at the end of the incident. I can export it out. I can add it to the incident report. We have all of our notes. We have everything. It's all, you can erase it with your hand, and you got markers up there you can draw on. So it makes it really, really nice. If you've got the ability and the funding to get you a digital erase board like this, I strongly encourage you. And it's just an app. It's just an app that runs on it. It's just a touchscreen computer. But being 75 inches, you can have 2 people up there at once. He's doing something. If you've got a logistics person or a planning person, on your incident command team or incident response team, they could be up there and they're just maintaining all your notes for you and drawing things out. When I need to expand, you can zoom in on this. So when I need to expand the whole map of campus or of a building, I can bring it up and we can really get in there and get some details in there. And again, zoom it back down and, you see all my notes up there. Of course, this is all fake notes. All of my information that I've got up on the SOC right now in the pictures, it's all fake information. I didn't want to, compromise anything, so I just put some fake stuff up there. But I really like this screen, this digital whiteboard. This is one of my favorite pieces in the room. Again, it was there when we moved in. We've adopted it, and we've put it to some really good use. Again, it's a Dell 75 4K interactive touch monitor. So for those of you who are interested in the specific tools that we're using, I grabbed the most recent website and just copy and pasted it. Now the conference room setup for the audio visual. So I'm going to go back here. You can see down at the bottom, down underneath the TV, we've got a Logitech. That's the speakerphone side of the conference room setup. And we mounted it on the wall. Of course, it's not designed to mount on a wall, but we mounted a VESA plate on the back of it, and we've got a quick detach, and we run the cables into the wall up. One of the cables goes behind the TV and plugs into the TV. That's the USB. Or it goes into anyway. It's a kind of a little docking thing that then comes out and goes over to the camera that's over on the north wall. But this is the setup. So we've got the PTZ camera, we've got a remote, and we've got the speakerphone setup. Now, this speakerphone is really good. For this size of room, it's perfect. It picks up everything in the room really well. It's got good speaker in it. The only thing is it was not designed to mount on a wall. So we had to get creative to be able to mount stuff on the back. It's aluminum base, so we were able to drill some holes and put some bolts in to put it on the VESA mount. So if Logitech ever sees this, my encouragement is make a wall mounting plate for this, because that would be really nice. I can tell you, being on the wall right now, it's great. It's out of the way. It's always working. It picks up the entire room, and it does a good job. So here's the setup. You know, we've got the big TV and the speakerphone setup on the west wall, looking to the left, the big arrow, and then we've got the second monitor that's connected along to the computer along with the touchscreen monitor on the north wall. So this is the whole setup here. Now, the thing about the Dell 75-inch touchscreen monitor is it's just a monitor. It's connected to the computer that's on the back, and we've got, I think it's connected through DisplayPort, and it's also got an HDMI. So we ran an HDMI cable into the wall, across the ceiling, back over to the north wall to that 60-inch monitor. So that's just, at this point, running dual screens. And it's got, of course, the setup with the camera and the speakerphone. So it works great. I really like it. I really like the Logitech components. They've done really well. The camera's really good. The sound's really good. And the mic's really good. But I like this setup because you could be sitting at the screen, or you're sitting at the conference table looking at someone at the screen, and I think there's another picture right there. So this is, the camera is looking straight back down the conference room table to this thing. So you can zoom it in to where it's just a single person on camera, or you can zoom it out to where you have the whole table, or you can zoom it out anymore and get almost the whole room. And again, you can PTZ it and move it around, do whatever you need to do. So it's a good setup, and we designed it to be very collaborative. So if we're working with a law firm or a forensics firm, and we've got data we need to share with them, plus we want to see them, and we need them to see us, it works out really well. Now, one of the things, it was kind of a side use of this room, because we have this setup like this, is we have used it for legal hearings and proceedings. I'm not quite sure exactly what to call them. I know what I call them, but I don't want to share that out to what the actual use was. But we had to have a meeting where it was an in-person meeting, and then we had a couple of different law firms that had to connect remotely and be able to see everybody in the room. And since this room was already set up, the coordinator reached out to me, and I invited them over to the SOC and let them use it, and it worked out great. They were able to record everything. The sound picked up really well. It was just a really good use of the room. So not only do we use this as our security operations center or incident response room, now it's become kind of the unofficial hearing room for a variety of different things. So this is a good setup. I really like it. It turned out really well. All right. So now that was the just the default HDMI setup. One of the things that we did was the North TV and the East 3 TVs, so the 60-inch and the 370-inch TVs. We actually put all of them on an AV over IP system. So this is what we just ended up using, Key Digital. These are encoders and decoders. So each of the TVs has a decoder installed behind it, and it's running HDMI in and then Ethernet out to a switch. And then we have encoders a couple different places. So each one of the 43-inch screens, the stations there, these are just laptop stations. So anybody can bring in a USB-C laptop, go and plug in to the USB-C and plug in the HDMI, and they are on the system. Now from that, we can take any signal from that laptop and put it on any one of the TVs or all the TVs. And we can pass it around however we want. So think of the use case like this. Let's say you've got 3 SOC analysts in the room, and one of them says, hey, I found this interesting log. We need to take a look at it. Well, what we can do is I'm going to switch back over here now. On this main screen here, over in the far right, you can see a little white box at the right of the screen. And that's the control system. It's just an iPad. So all of this is being managed by an iPad. We took an iPad, we effectively hardwired it into the network and into power, and we put it in a security box on the wall so you can watch up. Think Crestron, think a lot of other touchscreen systems out there. It gives us the same functionality. It was just much, much cheaper. So this is an iPad that's running the key software, and we can manage. So we've got inputs and outputs on the screen here, and we can move stuff back and forth. But this setup right now is we just have, in this case, this picture, it was all of the monitors are just turned on, and they're linked to each of the laptops. This one was, each laptop has a different, one has a live YouTube feed, or it's a YouTube video on that one, but we've got news articles, and we've got a log scrolling over on the right hand side. I'm not sure exactly. I think that maybe it's a picture of a log scrolling. Anyway, but you've got all your inputs going in from these laptops. They can go to any outputs. So some use cases. Again, I can sit at the conference table. Someone has something, I can say, send it to the red screen, and then everybody can see it. We're not kind of bunched around someone's laptop or someone's screen while they're trying to go through stuff. We can give them some space, and we can still see everything. It's also really great for training. I can sit at with my laptop at the conference table because there's an encoder there that I can plug into, and I can send my laptop to all of the TVs in the room, so everyone can just look up at the TV. It's very convenient. We're not crowded around a laptop screen or a screen or just a single thing. Every screen has something, so we can spread out in the room. So this AV over IP system is really great. There's lots of different vendors out there. We had a real problem getting some just because of supply chain. We went with Key. It seems to be working okay. It's when it's working great, and we were able to do everything we wanted to do. This is kind of our first foray into doing this. We had someone who showed us the concept in another room, and it was what they were doing was a little bit more limited than what we needed. We wanted something to have more flexibility, so we decided on this, and it seems to work out for us. And it gives us a lot of flexibility in what we're doing. So this is an example of doing it from I've got one computer screen up. This is just going to the CISA.gov website, and we've configured it to spread out to all the screens. So it's just kind of an example of how we do that. So that is the basics of the room. Now, of course, when we've got the room running, normally it's just a setup as a conference room such as this, and then we've got where the students sit and monitor we got the students sit here, and they can use the monitors, the 43-inch, without any issues, just as a daily use. So some things that we thought about when we were creating this room is We wanted it to be fully functional as a multi-purpose room. We wanted to make sure that we had the ability to do incidents, and when I talk about that, that's something that is critical. Number one, when you're doing an incident, of course, you need to have, if you're using the standard ICS 100 command structure, you need to have an incident commander. You need to have your incident command team. You need information. You need the ability to share that information, to obtain the information, and share that information out. So I went through the process of thinking about, during those incidents that we had last year, how I was going to use the room. And the key factor is this: all of these tables, anybody in IT, because we've pretty much standardized in IT that everyone's going to have a Latitude laptop. They're going to have USB-C. They can walk in, plug it in, and get everything up on the screen. And they've got widescreen. There's no one else in IT or even on campus that's going to have these 43-inch TVs, at least right now. And so we had an issue where we were bringing in, it was the networking team, but they wanted their own office because they had really big screens. Well, I didn't want that to be an issue. I wanted, if they were going to be here during an incident, I wanted to have some big screens that they can utilize. They have lots of screen real estate. So with the docking stations or the plugs, any IT person can walk in, sit down, plug in, and all of their stuff is right there. With the AV over IP system, we can take their screen and put it anywhere. Of course, we also have digital display, and we have digital signage and various things up there. Now, what we have on the screen right now is a couple of websites. Specifically on this picture, we have a couple of websites that have just some attack maps, botnet and Spamhaus or something. I don't remember exactly what we put up there. Then we've got some digital display or digital signage on the left-hand side of news articles and things. So that's what kind of stays up there on a daily basis. But when we have particular use, we flip the LEDs on. We flip the content over. You can absolutely plug in HDMI on these. They have an extra HDMI, so if you want to run them like that, you can. But we just do everything over the AV over IP. Now the desks themselves, these are sit-stand desks. We got them from a furniture supply here in Tulsa, and we got them kind of fit in the room, so we knew exactly how wide this wall was, and we got them to get us the desk fit. And we did that, number one, so that in an incident, a lot of times we pull the chairs out away, because they walk up and they use a computer and they walk over to the next, and it just becomes a bit more comfortable is what we found. But during regular usage, of course, the students sit in the chairs, and they're nice, comfortable chairs. Those are chairs that we've used in the conference room, and I was able to grab those out of one of our conference room and repurpose them for the SOC here. But we wanted to make sure that we had plenty of workspace for them. So the two desks on the corners are big, wide, right and left angled desks, or right and left returns. And then the middle one there, of course, is just a standard desk. But they all go up and down, and it works really well. And we've got some very tall students, and we've got some students that are more comfortable sitting down. So we wanted to make sure that we had a good variety to use so that people could come in and be comfortable when they're using it. We also wanted to make it easy. Everything that we have in the room is very easy to use. You don't have to learn a whole new control system. It's just kind of a basic setup that, plug in the HDMI, plug in USB-C, off and running. And then, of course, on the stuff on the wall or this touch screen, you're just logging in like normal and bringing up the application. So that was one of my key factors. I wanted to make sure that everything we were doing, anybody could walk in, sit down, and start using it. It was a very simple, very easy to learn, very quick. Maybe the most complicated piece is the actual AV over IP. But then again, I wanted to make sure that it was as simple as using an iPad. If you can bring up the thing and say, okay, here's my inputs, here's my outputs, and poof, there you have it. And of course, we have presets like If we've got a training preset where we hit the button and everything from the conference room table gets put on all screens, that's what I use when I'm teaching or training or something. Or we have got a preset of, the TVs match the person directly underneath them. That one is preset. So, I mean, you can make this really, really simple. And that was key for me. I wanted it easy to work on, easy to replace, easy to fix, easy to use. Because in an incident, you don't want to have to think about the technology. You just want to use the technology. We have both the dry erase board and the digital dry erase board because sometimes you just want to go write something up on the board, and I don't want to have to log in to do it. So I like having both places to be able to take those notes. And you have multiple people taking notes on dry erase board. If you have somebody who's working part of an incident and someone else doing another part of the incident, maybe they need to have separate. So I really wanted to make this room functional for a variety of things, and it really is, and it works really well. So I hope you've enjoyed this, talking about the Security Operations Center and Incident Response Room. I hope this gives you some ideas of what you can do in your room. If people like this, I can talk more about how our Security Operations Center works and what our students do and how we do our training with them and what they do to help us. But we're really proud of this room. It's just an office. There's really nothing special. It wasn't really all that expensive. We got some technology. It was a little expensive, but otherwise, we repurposed what we could. We bought what we needed to. We did some testing and some trial and error, and we got things working. And it's turned out really well. I'm really proud of this. My team did a great job of getting this all together. I'd like to say that the hardest thing was to get the LEDs on the back of the TVs nice and square and crisp. One of my guys, he spent a good amount of time making sure that we wanted it to look good. We want anybody to be able to walk into this room and look up, and it's nice and crisp and clear and even, and he did a great job, and my team did a great job at putting this together. So, with that said, I hope everyone has a great evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This is my pride and joy in the SOC, and we use it every day. We use it for a lot of different things. So if you are thinking about putting a SOC together, I would encourage you to really sit down and think about not only the SOC but also other uses of that room. We use it for an incident response room, and maybe that was my original intent, is to set up an incident response room that also is used as a security operations center. I can tell you it's invaluable to have a place that if you're having an incident that everyone goes to, and it's set up with the right technology, it has a place that we can bring in people, we can bring in food, we can do everything we need to do for that incident. We can log everything, we can communicate, we can collaborate, we can function. So that's something to think about when you're doing these rooms. These are our ideas. These worked really well for us. Maybe your ideas are going to be a little bit different. I hope maybe you can take something away from this and be able to utilize it. So you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you guys are able to get some sleep tonight on a Sleepless Wednesday. I guess it's Thursday morning now. So we will see you next week. I don't believe I'm traveling, so I'll be able to do this. I think next week I'm going to try to do a passwords. Not really. I'm not doing the attacks. I'm actually going to be pulling logs and showing you what attacks look like in your logs and some of the decisions that you could be making around it. We're going to be doing some queries against logs. I wanted to do that 2 weeks ago. What I'm finding is to be able to utilize some data to do some queries so you guys can see what kind of queries to look for in your environment, without compromising any of our data, because I don't want to use real data or data that could I don't want to get in trouble for it. So I'm going to work on that. I want to get some log files, and I'm going to make sure that we can get that to you guys, or get it to where you guys can see me doing live logging, pulling that data, pulling that queries, and then making good decisions about it. So again, you guys everyone have a great night. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks. Bye.